Welcome back to AI
Kathy.
Podcast. And we're here with your weekly rundown of the biggest AI news. This covers the week ending May 4th, 2025.
Yeah, think of this as your quick briefing. We're going to hit the highlights, give you the key takeaways so you're up to speed without needing hours of reading.
Exactly. We've got quite a mix this week. New tools, some platform changes, big infrastructure moves, and even some security stuff.
Something for everyone, really, who's trying to follow this incredibly fast-moving field.
For sure. And just a quick note, our next full deep dive into a specific AI technology that's going to drop on Wednesday evening, so look out for that.
Right. But for now, let's get into this week's news.
Okay, first up, Google's Notebook LM. It's going mobile.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Notebook LM, which is Google's AI tool for research and synthesizing your own documents.
Right, the one that works with stuff you upload.
Exactly. Well, it's getting Android and iOS apps this month, May 2025. It's really good at summaries and answering questions based only on the material you give it.
Which makes it pretty trustworthy, actually, compared to some of the more general-purpose AIs like Gemini, maybe. It tends to stick to the script, so to speak.
Precisely. It's known for being quite restrained and reliable with source material.
So, putting this on mobile, what's the main benefit there? Just convenience.
Well, yeah, accessibility is huge. Think about students, researchers, professionals. Anyone who needs to work with their notes or source materials while they're not at their desk.
True, like analyzing research papers on the train or something.
Exactly. It makes that kind of focused AI analysis truly portable. Big step for accessibility.
Okay, interesting. Next item, Pinterest. They're adding labels to AI-generated images.
Yes. So Pinterest is rolling out these AI-generated labels. If their system detects an image was likely made with a tool like, Midjourney or DALL-E,
It gets tagged.
it gets tagged. The idea is transparency, helping users tell the difference between, well, real photos or art and synthetic images.
Seems necessary, doesn't it, with how good these tools are getting?
It really does. And they're framing it as part of their commitment to authenticity. They're also working with the C2PA.
Ah, the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity. What does that mean practically?
It means they're adopting, or trying to adopt, industry standards for digital content provenance. So tracking where an image came from using technical metadata.
So it's not just Pinterest making up its own label, it's trying to align with a bigger effort.
Exactly. It gives the whole thing more credibility and potentially makes it work better across different platforms eventually.
Got it. Okay, now for a big one, Meta. They've launched their own ChatGPT rival.
That's right, Meta AI. And it's not just standalone, it's being integrated directly into Facebook and Instagram,
Into the fees.
into the feeds, into chats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it has some standout features. Real-time conversational voice is a big one.
So you can actually talk to it, like have a conversation.
Apparently so. You could type or speak,
Yeah.
and it'll respond with a pretty natural-sounding voice. Plus, it has its own sort of social feed for updates and interactions.
Wow. Blending generative AI right into the social fabric like that. That feels like a potentially massive shift.
It's definitely ambitious, the idea of having AI assistants just there,
Okay.
within your social apps for
Yeah.
questions, brainstorming, whatever. It could really change how people use those platforms.
And they'll likely roll it out across WhatsApp and Messenger too, eventually.
That seems to be the plan, yeah. A very integrated approach.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Duolingo. They're making changes to how they create content using AI.
Yes, this one generated some discussion. Duolingo is using AI now to generate a lot of its learning content, things like sample sentences, quiz questions, exercises.
And this means less work for human contractors.
That's the outcome, yes. They've reduced their reliance on contractors for this kind of content generation.
What's their reasoning? Just cost savings?
They frame it as efficiency and scale, being able to produce more varied content faster while, they argue, maintaining quality. They also say it frees up their internal language experts to focus on quality assurance and more creative pedagogical work.
But it definitely highlights that trend of automation hitting content creation roles,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. It's a prime example in the edtech space. Raises those ongoing questions about AI, automation, and the future of certain jobs.
Okay, let's talk infrastructure. Because all this AI needs some serious plumbing. Astronomer raised a big round.
A very big round, $93 million for Astronomer. They're in the data orchestration space.
Right, they manage workflows, basically data pipelines using Apache Airflow. Why is that suddenly worth $93 million?
Well, it's not sudden, but the need is exploding. Training and running large AI models requires managing incredibly complex flows of data. You need to get the right data, cleaned and processed, to the right place at the right time, reliably.
For training, for inference, for compliance.
Exactly. Data orchestration platforms like Astronomer provide that crucial backbone. As more businesses adopt AI, this kind of infrastructure becomes absolutely essential. It's foundational.
Makes sense. And speaking of infrastructure for users, Roblox is expanding geographically.
Yes, they're building their first data center in Latin America, specifically in Brazil,
When's that due?
expected to open in early 2026. The main goal is pretty clear: better performance for users in the region.
Lower latency, right, less lag. Especially important for a real-time platform like Roblox.
Absolutely critical. If you're interacting in a shared 3D space, lag just ruins the experience.
Yeah.
So this is about improving service reliability for their growing Latin American user base.
And it fits into their whole global expansion, supporting those metaverse ambitions.
Precisely. Regional data centers are key to scaling that kind of immersive, real-time experience globally.
Okay, now for something a bit more sobering. Security. Microsoft put out a warning about AI scams.
Yeah, and the numbers are pretty startling. Microsoft said they helped block over $4 billion in AI-driven fraud attempts just in the past year.
4 billion. Wow. What kinds of scams are we talking about?
It's evolving. Things like deepfake voices used in calls, much more convincing phishing emails generated by AI, automated bots impersonating people or services.
Yeah. So the generative AI tools are basically making the scammers better, more sophisticated.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
It lowers the barrier for creating more convincing and targeted attacks.
So what's Microsoft saying needs to be done, besides their own detection efforts?
They're calling for stronger regulations, definitely, but also just increased public awareness. People need to understand these new threats. Cybersecurity is really becoming a major battleground in this AI era.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, another application, customer service. Airbnb seems to be quietly rolling out an AI bot.
That's right. Quietly is the key word. But yes, they're deploying an AI customer support bot across the U.S.
What's it designed to do?
Handle the more routine stuff,
Yeah.
using natural language processing to answer common questions about bookings, policies, maybe some basic troubleshooting. The aim is to reduce wait times.
And how's it doing?
Early trials sound promising. Reports suggest it's handling over 50% of inquiries without needing to escalate to a human agent.
That's quite high.
Yeah.
So this is that trend of automating customer service for efficiency.
Exactly. Saves costs, potentially speeds things up for simple issues, and frees up human agents for the really complex or sensitive problems. We'll likely see much more of this in travel and hospitality.
Makes sense. Okay, finally, bit of fun maybe. Google's Gemini AI took on a classic video game.
Yeah, this one was kind of cool and maybe a bit unexpected. Google's Gemini model played and actually beat the original Pokemon Blue
The Game Boy game. How?
autonomously. It was given prompts and visual information from the game, and it learned to navigate, battle, make decisions, basically play the game all the way through.
Like DeepMind playing Atari games or AlphaStar with StarCraft, but maybe more complex in terms of planning?
Possibly. It's significant because Pokemon involves not just reaction, but exploration, strategy, understanding context from text and visuals. It shows these large models are getting really versatile.
Beyond just language, they can handle logic, visuals, sequential decision-making in these simulated worlds.
Right. It points towards AI being able to tackle increasingly complex, multimodal tasks. Gaming is often a test bed for these capabilities that could eventually apply to things like robotics or complex system management.
Fascinating stuff. Well, that wraps up our quick tour of the AI news for the week, ending May 4th, 2025. Quite a range again.
It really is. From mobile tools and content creation to massive infrastructure and even beating Pokemon, the field just doesn't stand still.
Hopefully the summary gave you a good sense of the key movements. Always interesting to think about which of these developments might have the biggest long-term impact.
Absolutely. And just that reminder again, our next full deep dive episode on a specific AI topic will be out this Wednesday evening. So do tune in for that if you want to go deeper.
For now, thanks for joining us for this AI news update on AI Podcast.
Catch you next time.